Hey y'all, we are back with another episode of Engaged Voters, the podcast. As y'all know, this is season 3. We're in episode 2. We're trying to get to November 5th so we can get to the polls. So today we're talking about political parties, Black people and political parties, because this has been a real topic. People are like, well, I don't know if I agree with either of the political parties, or some people are mad if you agree with one and not the other. And so I just want to give space to like really dive into it. So as always, I have some special guests. Today I have my family. Y'all know I always talk about my cousins or people who I have to sometimes maybe have excited conversations with, some back and forth. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, but one is my father and the other is my cousin. So go ahead.
My name is Timothy Manning, 53-year-old father of 3,
Mhm.
um, full-time employee, small business owner, historically Democrat, but over the last 2 election cycles, kind of leaning more to conservative views, and just consider myself the average everyday Black man trying to get the best out of life.
Okay, okay. I like how you did that. You set the groundwork.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead, Kendall.
All right, my name is Kendall Moore, formerly from East Texas, living in Houston now. Graduate of Prairie View A&M University. Uh, Professional in the insurance field. Uh, like Mr. Manning said, historically Democrat. Uh, my views are starting to fluctuate between the parties as I get older, depending on my interests, basically.
Okay, okay. I see Bobby is joining. We can let Bobby. Yeah, we're doing it a little different today. We have guests who are virtual. So, Mr. Foreman, we putting you right on the spot. Hey, Bobby, welcome to the episode. We just allowing everybody to introduce themselves first before we get into any of the questions. So, if you can, just kind of say your name, a little bit about yourself, and you can share which party that you lean more towards, or if you just write out one of the parties, then you can say that.
Okay. Well, my name is Bobby. Um, I tend to lean more Democratic, but I'm kind of like more moderate with it, I guess you would say. Um, what else was I supposed to be telling you about?
Anything you want to tell the people about yourself so they can kind of understand, where your perspectives may come from. Like my dad said, he's a small business owner. His age, he have kids. Kendall's like, I'm a HBCU grad. Just kind of giving people some perspective of, because that ties into why we lean into certain parties more.
Okay, I got you. Well, I am a 36-year-old African American male. I am currently single. I am a business owner of about 7 years. I am a funeral professional. I work in the death care industry. And Yeah, that's a little bit of my background. I tend to, like I say, I tend to identify more with uh, social policies of the Democratic Party, but more so, I guess, my money. I lean a little bit more conservative with that, more moderate or whatever. That's where I land when it comes to, I guess, politics.
Okay. Well, as y'all can see, we have 3 Black men with some different or some varying perspectives, which I was very intentional in that. I'm not gonna get into, where I lean and stand and whatnot, because I want this to be a very nonpartisan space and everybody to feel comfortable to share their views. So when you talk about political parties, I know that sometimes people just have their own ideas and definitions, and I kind of want to give just a little bit of backdrop of the purpose of political parties and whatnot. So in the United States, the main functions of political parties include recruiting and nominating candidates for office. Prior to election day, parties have a critical role to play in elevating candidates for office who are capable of doing the job. They fundraise to help their candidates get elected. They encourage people to vote for their candidates. They give voters an easier way to choose between candidates, and they help elected members achieve the party's goals. So typically at the national level, major parties have national committees that set the party's platform, which are their issue positions and their goals. They hold conventions to nominate presidential candidates. However, like at the federal level, they don't really run any campaigns. They just support the campaigns of candidates for president and sometimes key elections in Congress. Um, at the state chapter, I do want to note that state chapters for political parties, they name like electors of the electoral college. We can get into that later. If a party wins their state, the electors pledge to cast their votes for the party's candidate. Now, I will say that political parties have been a thing of the US for years. Back in the 1790s, we had like the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans, which that was like one word. One party, both of those. And then there started to be some transitions. And so we'll kind of get into that. But I did want to just set the groundwork of what I researched and my team researched of the purpose of political parties. But still, I do have some questions for you all. And we can go around the room and y'all can ask them. But first, what do you think or see as the purpose for political parties?
You mean the politician themselves?
No, just the parties, the the actual parties. So we know we have the two major parties, Democratic and Republican.
Right.
We also have like the Green Party, the Libertarian Party. So what do you see as like the purpose of even having political parties? And if you feel like it's for the politicians, you can say that.
Yeah, well, that's what I was. The party, I guess they're there just to push. They're there to push a certain person that you're going to vote for.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking about is the person I'm going to vote for. You know, I need them to help me sustain a lifestyle with the opportunity to make it better
Okay.
and to protect all of that which I acquire in that lifestyle from near and far threats.
And so when you say that, do you think the parties have a purpose of setting those priorities?
Yes, if they want me to vote for their candidate,
Okay.
I need to feel safe about who. So I guess you would say, I would say that they need to convince me.
Okay. Okay. Kendall, Bobby, y'all nodding y'all head like I'm with it. What do y'all think or see as the purpose for political parties?
I ultimately see the purpose of political parties as a group of people with, common goals, common interests, like minds, that feel that their view of, the world is something that is positive for people, and they want to push that agenda of that particular party, that particular group of people.
Okay. Okay. Kendall?
I like to use the example. I use examples for things that I'm describing. So like on a lower level, you're using like student government. The people that you voted in office are there to represent the people that put them in that role. They're there to speak on behalf of those people that put them in that position, whether it be, like you said, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, whoever it may be. They're representing those people on a baseline level of their interests.
Okay, I like that. I used to be student government president, so I feel it. So let me ask y'all this then. Hearing the definitions I read, knowing, what y'all have flowing in y'all minds, do y'all think that political parties are needed or even beneficial? Or do y'all, because I've heard comments of people saying like, well, we don't even need them. But do y'all think that we do need them?
Yes, to a certain extent, when you're dealing with a lot of people with a lot of different ideas, it needs to come down to someone that's going to represent the idea, for the majority.
Yeah.
So if they can just condense everything to where, you can represent the ideals of the people, because everybody trying to come together and you have all these different,
Yeah.
viewpoints and everything, then it just becomes a disaster. So if we can get it to where we can get a group of people that can get behind one person that can push the idea, then that's what I would say that they're good for.
I think that's good, and I'll let y'all respond. But I think that's good. Because when we think of America, it's hundreds of millions of people here, and you thinking of all of these people. If we didn't have a party, first of all, we probably wouldn't know certain people. Like if somebody is in Wisconsin running for something, I wouldn't know. Maybe via social media that might could help nowadays. But like I think when they attach themselves to a party, they already have such a big platform. So it's kind of easy. So I can kind of get that. And then if everybody have all these ideas, it's like 30 different parties, and we like, okay, which one? Is there any alignment? Can y'all come together? So I could see that. Do y'all think they are beneficial or needed?
I definitely think they're beneficial because, as you said, with so many different perspectives, there needs to be someone who can corral all of these ideas and kind of, I guess, put them in order to, in priority, I guess, which would best benefit the masses or the general or the majority of that party in a positive way. And so I definitely think that they're good. It's almost like they serve as a liaison between the people and the leadership. And so we voice what we want to the party. The party then conveys that to the leaders or prospective leaders and see, I guess, to see who is best aligned with what their constituents want.
I like how you put that liaison. That's good. That's good. Handle you like
For me on that level, so like you said, there is one voice speaking for the masses. They get a general consensus of what the masses are asking for, and they speak on their behalf. You start to run into chaos when you have too many voices at one time. You can't. Everybody knows you can't have too many leaders. So you got to have somebody that stands in that gap, like he said, as a liaison.
That's good. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. We know that all too well. So let's get into a little bit of the nitty gritty, okay? Because let's talk about us, Black people. Black individuals with a lower income have statistically prioritized economic policies that address issues such as the creation of jobs, affordable housing, and living wages. All of these factors influence their political affiliations towards the party they perceive will best support and address these issues. And again, this is Black individuals with a lower income. Majority of Black individuals who have attained a higher education tend to have a greater focus on issues like systemic racism, civil rights, and policies that will address racial disparities. All of these factors go into their political alignment. Basically, an individual's social status within their community tends to shape their understanding of political issues. Okay, so I have to set that to say, the majority of the Black community aligns with the Democratic Party, although there are variations across different socioeconomic groups. Before we get into that, I want to ask, do y'all feel that Black voters are truly represented by either of the major political parties?
Yeah.
Go ahead, let me say that again. Are Black voters truly represented by either of the major political party?
More like used.
Used.
Not represented. Well, I mean, hey.
No, let's get into. So when you say used,
I feel like the historically the Republican Party, they used the Black man as a crime. This is how we fight. We fight crime, but it was aimed at us. So we were used as a they came out, Nixon came out with the super predator, and that bumped down to Reagan used super predator, and I think even Clinton crossed over and used super predator. Wow. So it was like we were used as a tough on crime. This is what we're gonna do, far as that goes. On the other side, we like used for funding. We get tied into our civil rights, get tied into LBGT alternative lifestyles, and now with the immigration Black people, they also migrated from the north to the south, and they try to just tie us in with all kind of other stuff. So that's why I say used, more than represented.
Talking
you
about them
know.
black jobs. Okay.
Yeah, you know, so instead of, I just don't feel like we're never put in a positive light. If you want to represent us,
Yeah.
show us where you brought us from to where we are
Okay.
in a good light. Not just getting our using us for
But they say pandering for our votes.
right.
I never looked at it that way from both angles. So, okay. I'm going to sit with that. I know Kendall or somebody came off mute real quick. Bobby, somebody, do y'all feel like these major political parties are truly representing
Um,
black people?
I think that do they totally represent? Well, let me ask you this: do they totally represent anybody?
Mm. Well, see,
And
Bobby, we talking about black people.
well, I think our representation is what we make it. And
Okay.
in a lot of situations and talking to people just around town, I'm gonna say it like that. I feel like a lot of our people are not educated about the political system. And because they are not educated about the political system, they are not able to make wise assessments of what's going on. And in circles where people are not educated or they're ignorant to a certain subject, but they have the loudest voice, they're able to disseminate false information amongst
We're going to
large
get
groups
into
of
that, but let
people.
me pause you. We're going to get into that false information. Bobby, let me tell you about my show. I want you to give me the real. I'm going to ask you again, Bobby, okay? Do you think that either of these major and you could say yes or no, maybe kind of, sort of.
But because I guess my thing is I don't think it's a yes. It's a do they totally represent me, because what represents me may not represent the next black man, or we may not have the same ideals, or we may not have the same concerns. And so I feel like I'm represented in the political system. I guess yeah. As far as my black needs, I guess we would have to describe what those are. But I feel like I'm represented.
Okay. I'm only asking that because, and I push for that because we only have two major ones. We have some minor ones, which I've listed, And so once we look at this, we have a major black community. We are not a monolith. I tell people that all the time. Black people are not a monolith.
Right.
But there is something threaded amongst us that ties us all together. Some people say it's just the color of our skin that ties us together. I think it's still a little bit more than that. And the question becomes, do either of the parties acknowledge that or value that more than the other, shall I say? And
So
I was just asking your opinion.
Would you say that which party do I feel safer under, or which one do I feel more prosperous under? If I had to choose between the two, based on the representation of the parties, I'm going to just have to go with Democrats. And I'm going to just backtrack to what our brother was saying before me. I do feel like they tie a lot of our social agendas into or intertwine them with other things to push other things. I do feel like that is, but I feel like that's across the board with anything. I feel like in order to get a little, you got to give a little. And I think you just see that represented in politics.
But I don't know about that. I feel like we're giving a lot to get back a little.
You got to tell me what. Okay.
So, Kendall, what's your thoughts? You think either party represents the black people more or the black community more? So
the only reason I say neither one really does is because, number one, you don't hear anything about what we need until election season. All of the in between, what is it? The every 2 years, I can't think. My mind's drawing a blank right now. Every 2 years, the midterm elections. Yeah. You don't hear anything. You don't hear anything until it's presidential election. Then it's, oh, we need you because of this, or we need y'all's vote because of the fear of what may happen if the other party gets in the office. It's never, okay, let's sit down. What do y'all need from the jump? No strings attached. What do y'all need? It's not that we need y'all.
What do we need?
Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Close the wealth gap.
that could be number one. That could be number one. But it's all
Man,
like what are we? What's the equality? What's the equity in what we're being asked of, or what's being asked
Yeah.
of us?
Yeah.
So that's what it boils down to me.
Okay. Okay. I think y'all all raise good points. Of course, I'm gonna push back some because I'm really trying to hear. I think y'all represent various groups of our Black community, even as y'all are all three Black men, but y'all still represent various perspectives. And so I think each of what you all said is key. And then it comes back to us, right? Have we effectively let the parties know what it is that we as a Black people want or need? And that goes back to Black people are not a monolith, but can we do all things or nothing? Because then everybody like, well, everybody on the same page except for Black people. Are we supposed to be like, and are the others really on the same page? So have we effectively let these political parties know what it is that we seek from them? And any of y'all can answer that.
I'm gonna say no.
No, yeah, right.
I'm gonna say no.
No, I think a lot of times we've been caught up in, vote blue no matter who, and we don't ask for things, and we get what we ask for, nothing.
I'm gonna say no because
I think that kind of goes back to people not being educated about our political system and ultimately understanding the power that we do have if we were to come together and we were to, utilize that strength that we have in numbers by letting them know what we want.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna get into that political system. Okay, because I hear you keep coming back to that. We don't know what we're talking about. Kendall, what you was about to say?
repeat the question again.
Have we effectively let the parties know what it is that we as a community?
I'm gonna say no because you have every single individual. Like you said, we're not a monolith. Keep saying that. But the problem with that is you have everybody with their own agenda. We're not putting away the small things so we can get the things that we all agree on. We all agree on something, but we so focused on if it's not everything, I'm not going for none of it.
I'm glad you said that because I get into the conversation about political candidates that these parties push or priorities that these parties push. If they don't give us everything that we're looking for, then we tend to not lean towards one party or the other.
Right.
And so it's like on both sides, where does the standard, where do we draw the line? How high do we hold up the standard, for these political parties? Or are we at a point where we not even getting the bare minimum? Because I feel like, Kendall, you feel like we not even getting the bare minimum. So, and then Bobby, you may be feeling like we got all these high standards and we don't know what they can or can't do. And my daddy here, he like, I'm sick of all of it.
Well, I to kind of condense it down. I mean, we shouldn't sound confused about what we want when you have people that's running for office that can tell you pretty much can see some things that you need. So we don't have to, like I say, it's a lot of voices out there. So okay, can a candidate perceive that we need cleaner communities, better infrastructure? You feel you do better when you're in a better living situation.
Yeah.
When you don't have busted up roads and stuff. And I know that could be, that's the smaller,
The local,
that's local, that's more local.
but
That's still a big thing, though. That's still
Education, better education. We blacks are what basically nationwide at the bottom of the education, and safer living conditions, and somewhere where we won't be shut out, won't be redlined from where we can live and can't live, and won't be shut out from different jobs and and opportunities. So it's not very hard to say what we want. We want
what we need.
what we need and basically what everybody else wants. Everybody else,
So it's on them.
I mean, I don't know any other nationality or people that don't want basic,
Human needs, necessities.
right, basic necessities, right, and even, better than basic from the way a lot of people live. And
But I'm hearing you say that the parties or the elected officials or the candidates, they should identify it. We shouldn't always have to tell them. They should identify.
I don't think, right, they should have to live on every word that we say. Okay, well, they didn't say that.
No.
They didn't say that they wanted clean streets or safe neighborhoods. And
That's common sense.
that's common sense, right?
Okay,
I think
I'm
some
gonna
of that. So I'm gonna say some of that is when you go to the streets and the neighborhoods, some of that I want to say personally is 50-50. Part of it is they shouldn't wait until they're trying to gentrify to start wanting to clean the community up. You don't see until they pushing specific people out that they start cleaning those streets up, start building those houses.
Right.
The other half of that is we aren't taking care of what we got.
Wow.
There's plenty of times we've all ridden through specific neighborhoods and we like, all you had to do was wait till you got home to throw that away. Right. Did you have to throw that out the window right then? Or did you have to leave this house abandoned right here, right now? You couldn't just keep it up. Keep the taxes up at least. Keep the grass cut.
That's a big thing.
Keep the grass cut.
Well, get on us then. Well, read us then. Golly, we trying.
That's why I said it's a 50.
House.
Well, it definitely. Well, I definitely feel like we have to take the accountability. When we've gotten away from it takes a village to raise a child, and this just starts all the way back from the beginning. And our village is so divided now. So we have so many different, ways of thinking that it seems like it's hard for us all to come on the same page because we've all been taught different ways. We've all been, shown different things, and we don't have the same goals at this time.
Y'all, okay. Before y'all keep preaching, hold on. I want to pivot a little bit. I guess this will be to you first, Bobby. I want to talk about to those who lean more Democratic or liberal. The lower income and working class have significantly supported the Democratic Party because of its emphasis on labor rights, economic equality, and social welfare programs. But I'll ask you, why do you think Black people are so aligned with the Democrats or had to become more of a tradition? Are there any policies or events that led to the backing of the Democratic Party?
So you asked me, why do I feel like we historically lean more Democratic and I think that's just what leadership has taught us. It's what we've been shown, and that's what the leaders have been put before us. Press, and then I guess once we get more educated about it, we've been able to get them to represent us. I feel socially better than Republicans. Some of the social programs that historically the Democratic Party pushes benefits us. They benefit our communities. Now, not solely us, because I don't think that there's much that goes on that solely benefits us, but it definitely benefits some of our lower income communities. So
okay.
I think that maybe that's the
reason. That's good. So, Kendall, Mr. Manning, I know y'all haven't y'all didn't state that y'all lean more liberal or whatnot, but do y'all have an opinion on why y'all think our Black people lean more towards Democrats or liberals? I know you, because you said you started off.
Right. Well, when I started off, it was just like vote Democrat.
Yeah, it's what
I remember. I couldn't wait till I turned 18 so I could vote, because I felt like I was grown and I was doing something. Yeah. And I remember one of the first times I went to vote, it was a Black lady. She was standing right there by the booth, and she was just like, vote Democrat all the way down. She could tell I was young and probably, and it just kind of, it kind of shocked me then. It was like, I just didn't feel like that's what she should have been doing. I know that's what she was
not supposed to do that.
Right. But it was, I was kind of, I was kind of taken aback that, and it was like, hey, this my my accomplishment to get here and be
Yeah.
able to vote, and so let me do I always been kind of like a split ticket type of voter anyway.
Okay.
I kind of voted for who appealed to me when they were running doing their campaign, and I never thought about it much, but more and more as time, you will always hear your people saying, you vote Democrat all the way down. You vote Democrat all the way down. And when I did some research, it was some big things like we know with welfare, but before then, it was the Civil Rights Act, then the B. Johnson, and then right after that, he did the Voting Rights Act.
Yep.
So that won a lot of black people. That was 64, 60 and 64, 64, 65. So it won a lot of people right then. And then he even made the statement, I'll have blacks voting for me for the next 200 years or something like that. So, when something monumental as Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act, and you win the people like that, hey, these people are for us. I could imagine, you getting civil rights
Yeah.
passed, even though it wasn't protected as much as it should have been, but
Yeah.
or if at all. But and from then on, it was just like, this is the way we go.
Yeah.
And then he also raised those welfare benefits up in 64 also. So, because welfare was very minimal, it was, I think, peanut butter, beans, and cheese.
Thank you.
Something like
Thank
that.
you.
So when that money came up, so hey, you wrap in a few things like that, you catch a lot of people attention, and I think now it's just like really now it's kind of breaking because people still feel like they're getting peanut butter, beans, and cheese.
So do
And
you think it was a
$1,200
catch-22 to
stimulus
that?
checks. You say what?
Do you think that was a catch-22?
Yes, because once you've been had like that, then now we can do all kind of other little stuff that you probably overlook.
I got about 2 more questions, and we getting close to it. Kendall, do you want to touch on why you think black people lean towards Democrat, or you want me to pivot towards?
He basically said it. Our grandparents, great grandparents, they all said vote Democrat, and
that's
we
what we
didn't ask no
did.
questions. We didn't ask no questions. We just voted
Yes.
Democrat. They said it got to the point where you didn't even know, you didn't care who was down that ballot. They said
Yeah.
vote Democrat. You better hit that Democrat button all the way down.
Yeah.
Didn't matter what their views were. Didn't matter how radical they were. Didn't matter how ridiculous they sounded. If it was Democrat, you voted.
And that is
Yes,
true. It is.
ultimately,
Huh?
No, I was just saying, ultimately, they said, I guess, based on them getting the Voters' Right Act passed, if they want us to vote, then we should vote for them.
Yeah, and that is true. It was the Civil Rights Act. If you read into how we shifted from one party to the other, because everybody say, well, blacks used to be Republicans, and I'm like, Republicans actually had a different kind of agenda at that time as well too. But when the Civil Rights Act was passed, then most of the Republican Party's black voters, they did leave to join the Democrats. And it's just a lot of history which you did touch on. But I want to get to the independents real quick, because a growing number of young voters feel disconnected from politics and unable to identify with the political party at all. Some millennials and Gen Zers feel hopeless about the political system, and they don't believe it has been catering to their needs: affordable housing, climate change, rising costs. Kendall, do you think we should have a black independent party? Why or why not? And what should their focus be? If so, will a black independent party get us to where we need to be, or will it just split the vote? Because I hear you kind of leaning towards the way, and I think a lot of people actually might lean this way. The more I talk to people, we kind of all like in the middle, but the independent party, candidates haven't gotten much traction. So tell me your thoughts about that.
I'm gonna say the reason why they haven't gotten much traction is because it's new. It's still something new. Normally, it's just Republican or Democrat. Either way it goes. Those are the two big wigs. Those are the two strongest arms. Independent party just popped on the scene as a growing as a growing party recently, like within the past couple of decades. I wouldn't
Do you
say
think
that
we need one for the black people? For black people?
I don't think it'll be you won't be able to do it just solely for black people.
Mm.
Now, art, it would be different if that was tailored more to as like we're our own block. We have a general consensus on who we're going to vote for. Our interests are tied to whoever we. It's almost like we have that money. We pulling our resources together. If you want what we got, you got to meet us halfway. Give us what we want.
Mm.
This
Okay.
this is an
I
equal
think that's kind
exchange.
of what we got in the I have that in the Democratic Party right now with the Black Caucus, right?
I don't
Like
agree.
that's a swath within. No, I'm saying like basically the setup that you're saying. You're saying we should have a part within that party, or not. It shouldn't be totally black, but don't we kind of have a part in the Democratic Party? They have the different caucuses, and we're represented by a group of black representatives that are supposed to represent our interests.
We do have a caucus, a
We
black
do have a
caucus.
black caucus in the Democratic Party. The downfall to that, and I'm gonna just be blunt.
Mhm.
When you got a bunch of older, spineless people,
Mm.
you're not gonna get anything passed. They just go along to get along.
Mm.
How much longer are we gonna keep doing that? Every time there's certain bills that we try to get passed, certain things that we try to get done. Which bill was that? Was it the George Floyd bill where they cut down on it so much that it's basically the bones of the original bill, and we still didn't even get that passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Okay now. Okay. I hold that because I want to go to my daddy. Okay, so there has been an increase in higher income Black Americans leaning towards the Republican Party because of economics, and I think Bobby, you kind of touched on that as a business owner. But many still remain tied into democratic values because of social justice concerns. They feel like the other party addresses more social justice concerns. But why do you think Black conservatism has risen over the years? Do you think it will continue to grow? And what do you see as, if any, benefits for Black people with alignment with the Republican Party?
Well, with me, it started off with moral ideas, and then it ended off economically.
Okay.
So, me, you can live any kind of lifestyle you want to live, fine. But when they start pushing these alternative lifestyles in schools, and I mean, I can remember when sex education, they fought tooth and nail whether you could even be taught sex education between male and female
Yeah.
in school. It was like a big thing. Now, an alternative lifestyle education in the school and taking the power from the parents, and the kid can say this, that they feel this way, stuff that's not even on their mind.
Mm.
And now you get suggestion, you get to school, and then now it's a suggestion.
Mm.
Or and the questions, and it's just too much you're doing with the children.
Okay.
And so I really didn't like that. And now the girls, the boys can be on the girls' teams, and they you're taking away, you're invading women's spaces,
Mm.
and both spaces get invaded, but that hurts women more than it hurts anything,
Mm.
and I just didn't like all of that,
You was
and
like,
and the trans thing, and they just, so they lost me there. They really did. They lost me there. And so and then when you end it all off with now food, gas, rent, insurance, economically, everything got shot up.
You think that's because of one party?
The party they're in there now, you know, and they're the
So
party that pushed. I mean, this is not.
because you
I'm,
saying
I,
the
I
president
don't
is of
have
one party.
degrees and all of that. It's
You
just
are.
I'm just living it, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, and so it's just not that hard. I don't, you know. So
I wish we could get real deep into this, but we gonna have to cut it. But I'm for sure doing a part 2 for this. I always ask this question to each guest on the show. First, I think this is a conversation we should continue. It's certain things that each of y'all said. I'm like, I want to dig a little bit deeper because we do have Democratic Party that is leading the presidential, but our Congress is dominated by the Republican Party. Then at the state levels in the state of Texas, at the state, the Republicans are majority, but at the county, the Democrats are majority. So it's like which party is having the most effect at which level that I think we can get into. And as far as like the independent party and the caucus and all of that, like is the caucus effective? Will the independent party be just as like the caucus? You know, I think we can really get into some of that. So we will spin a block, y'all, for part 2 for this.
Quick question.
Maybe
Quick question.
maybe on Friday. But I asked each of you this. You have about 30 seconds to answer it. Why is voting important? Even no matter what party, because it sounds like y'all are leaning towards different parties, but y'all still feel the need to vote. And so I want to hear in your own words why is it important to vote? Why do people need to show up on November 5th?
if you feel like if it's important, if like the brother was saying, you know what you're voting for, you're educated about, you know, what you want, or what's there for you, then you need to, you know, let your voice be heard. You know, and if you got to do it with a punching a ballot, you know, then that's why it's important, because it not only affects you, you know, you have family, you have friends, you have a community, you have, you know, a race, you know, that you represent. And
Yeah.
so, hey, if you feel like this is the best thing, you know, for those that I named, then by all means, go and vote.
Are you voting?
Well,
Kendall?
I want to. I'm waiting on somebody to come up with a black agenda that includes reparations, and then that's when I'll say I'll be there.
Eddie.
Gonna be waiting for a while on that one.
Oh,
Can I? You didn't ask me this question, but I wanted to answer it
Go ahead.
because you asked your father why. I think something along the lines, why is he more identifying with the Republican Party now?
Mm.
Comes to and things like that. But when it comes to social agenda, I think that can, in a lot of instances, can be a lot bigger, and have bigger ramifications, which is the reason why I go with the Democratic Party. Now, I do recognize that the Democratic Party sometimes goes a step too far with social. Even is what I appreciate, and I think that once addressing them, I feel like sometimes when things are addressed that we don't necessarily agree with, instead of having a conversation and meet in the middle, we kind of shut it down altogether. And what that ultimately does is give the people in power the the capability to just move forward with that agenda. I don't. Your father mentioned about trans thing, and them invading women's spaces. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with. I think that trans women are not women. I feel like they are trans women, and women are women. And I feel like if we can, I feel like a lot of people would listen more to the conversation if we could just get past that part. But
I agree with you. Women are
if we
women.
could just get past that part with the labeling and stuff, powers.
Bobby, you breaking up a little
I go
bit.
along with it. I'm sorry, I'm going terribly. But I identify with the Democratic Party socially because I feel like they at least have the conversation. When it came to voting, the Republicans, it wasn't the Republicans that were having the conversation, it was the Democrats who were having the conversation, which ultimately led to us having the ability and the freedom now to vote. And so that's more I have to go with the Democrats because I feel like my money is big, but the social justice is our
Yeah, he was going in a little bit, but he said it was the Democrats that introduced reparations and not the Republicans. I heard that part. But Kendall, tell us why you think voting is important. Because we have to wrap up. And are you going to the polls on November 5th? And then Bobby will come back to you to let us know why you think voting is important.
Yeah, I think voting is important. Bills are gonna get passed, laws are gonna get passed, things are gonna the world is still gonna be moving at the end of the day. You have to find, and there's no utopia. There's no perfect world where all of your views and your thoughts are gonna get pushed or approved. Some things are gonna get shot down. That comes with the territory. I still think that voting is important because of that reason. You can't I forgot the saying now. You can't sacrifice something. Sacrifice your interest for the greater good. That's what it basically boils down to. Those things are still going to happen. You still got to exercise your vote to make sure that whatever you have on your plate, as in what you find interest in, those big ticket things are still being heard. Now, everything, like I said, the small things might not, but big things, make sure they're being exercised.
Okay, I respect it. And Bobby, do you think voting is important? And are you showing up on November 5th?
Voting is definitely important. I think that we put major major emphasis on voting nationally as far as our national leaders, but the great importance is our local leaders. At the lower levels that impact our money more than we really understand. And so I definitely agree that we should vote. It is a great honor and a great privilege to be able to do so. And I will be voting in this year's election.
All righty. Well, y'all heard it from three very intelligent and beautiful Black men about their political views and the importance of voting. And I think we have so much more that we can dive into. And so we'll have some more episodes rolling out for this season as we gear up to the polls. So thank y'all for joining us. And we will see y'all on the next episode.
Part 2 coming.
Thanks for having me.
Part 2 coming.